What could topple the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford? Staring at this enormous vessel, it's hard not to question. How does a ship this massive stay stable against nature's fury? From the front, the ship rises out of the water like an upside-down pyramid, creating the illusion that it could tip at any moment. Planes weighing tens of tons hang on platforms along its sides, amplifying the sense of instability. Could this 100,000-ton block of metal really be at risk of overturning? Or are the sailors aboard playing a dangerous game with fate? Why does the ship not sink? The first question we need to tackle is this: why doesn't a ship this size, weighing hundreds of thousands of tons, just sink like a rock? Well, it's all thanks to a principle as old as time, or at least as old as the ancient Greeks. Enter Archimedes, the mathematician who discovered that anything submerged in water is pushed up by a force equal to the weight of the water it displaces. In simpler terms, if the ship pushes aside more water than its own weight, it'll float. But let's put it in more relatable terms. Imagine dropping a hammer into the ocean. What happens? It sinks immediately because it doesn't displace enough water to support its weight. Now, take a beach ball, push it underwater, and watch it bounce back to the surface. The ball displaces enough water to stay afloat, thanks to Archimedes' principle. Despite weighing over 100,000 tons, the USS Gerald R. Ford behaves more like the beach ball than the hammer. The secret lies in the ship's design. Think of the USS Gerald R. Ford as a massive floating fortress. Its hull is designed to displace a vast amount of water, generating an upward force that counters its immense weight. Its size isn't just for show, it's essential to keeping the ship afloat, despite its enormous mass. Inside, the ship isn't solid steel. It's filled with air compartments, machinery, and other systems, which keep the overall density lower than water. As long as the ship displaces more water than its own weight, it stays afloat. Even when carrying hundreds of planes, tons of equipment, and thousands of personnel. But surviving a deadly storm is an entirely different challenge. What happens when the ship is pushed to its absolute limits? Could there be a hidden weakness that even this engineering marvel isn't prepared for? As the waves grow fiercer, the ship's stability is put to the ultimate test. The key to staying upright lies in a delicate balance between its low center of gravity and the forces trying to push it over. Deep within the hull, heavy machinery and fuel tanks are strategically placed to keep the ship's weight low, like an invisible anchor pulling it back upright every time the ocean tries to tip it over. Remember, Archimedes' force, which keeps the ship afloat, is applied at the center of the submerged part of the vessel. This point is called the center of buoyancy. As the ship tilts, the center of buoyancy shifts to the side of the roll along a specific curve. Where the vertical axis of the ship intersects with the force of buoyancy, you find the metacenter. If the ship's center of gravity lies below this metacenter, the ship remains stable. The greater the distance between the metacenter and the center of gravity, the more stable the ship becomes. But if you think that knowing this theory makes building a stable ship, especially one as large as an aircraft carrier, a simple task, you're mistaken. It's a complex feat of engineering, requiring numerous tricks from designers. And as history shows, theory doesn't always align with practice. On April 16, 2014, the South Korean ferry Seawall tragically capsized, killing more than 300 people, most of them schoolchildren. The disaster was caused by overloading and improper cargo placement, which, when the ferry tilted during a turn, led to a complete loss of stability. This shows how even modern ships, if not properly balanced, can face devastating consequences. The Seawall disaster serves as a harsh reminder of how crucial ship stability really is. Even with the most advanced technology and computer modeling, maintaining ship stability can be unpredictable. The USS Gerald R. Ford is designed to ensure that the metacenter remains high and the center of gravity low. The wider the base below the waterline, the more stability the ship has. Think of the ship as an upside-down pyramid floating on the water. Its shape, designed for balance, keeps it from capsizing. The hull itself plays a critical role. Its bulbous bow helps the ship cut through waves, reducing the impact and keeping the ship steady. The design isn't just about efficiency. It's about survival. Every angle of the ship is carefully crafted to resist tipping over, even in extreme conditions. But what happens when the center of gravity shifts? Aircraft operations and fuel consumption can impact the ship's stability. Each time an aircraft takes off, lands, or is repositioned, the center of gravity shifts. The more weight that moves above the deck, the higher the center of gravity climbs, which can destabilize the ship. That's why stability systems, like ballast tanks, are crucial. These tanks, filled with water, are strategically adjusted to keep the ship balanced, no matter how much activity is happening on the flight deck. Fortunately, the USS Gerald R. Ford is equipped with advanced systems to prevent such disasters. The ship's ballast tanks can shift water within the hull, redistributing weight to maintain balance. This allows the carrier to stay level, even when the seas are rough and operations are in full swing. Through this combination of design, engineering, and constant adjustments, the carrier remains stable, no matter what the ocean throws its way. But while stability is impressive, the USS Gerald R. Ford has to face even more severe challenges: shock trials that simulate the destructive forces of real-world explosions. How will the ship hold up when faced with such intense conditions? But even the mightiest vessel needs to prove its strength. Before entering service, the USS Gerald R. Ford was subjected to a series of brutal tests designed to simulate the most extreme conditions, ensuring it could withstand the harsh realities of combat and the unpredictable forces of nature. One of the most rigorous of these tests is the shock trial. This trial simulates the impact of underwater explosions, like those caused by mines or torpedoes. Massive charges, sometimes up to 40,000 pounds, are detonated near the ship, unleashing violent shockwaves through the hull. Imagine the tension as each blast sends vibrations coursing through the ship, testing not only its structural integrity, but also the resilience of its systems. Everything from communications and navigation to power grids is pushed to its absolute limit. In 2021, the USS Gerald R. Ford faced its own shock trials, becoming the first aircraft carrier in over 3 decades to undergo this extreme test. With powerful underwater blasts detonating close by, the goal was clear: to ensure the ship could not only survive, but remain fully operational in the event of a real attack. The ship passed with flying colors, suffering no critical damage and proving its toughness in the face of simulated warfare. But that's not all. The ship's agility is tested in maneuvering trials, where the 100,000-ton carrier must perform sharp, fast turns at high speeds, challenges designed to simulate evasive actions during combat. Picture a vessel of this size making sudden changes in direction to avoid incoming threats like missiles or torpedoes. During these trials, the carrier's stability is pushed to its limits as it turns at speeds of up to 30 knots. The flight deck tilts sharply, but the ship must maintain its balance, with jets and helicopters secured in place and systems running smoothly. These trials simulate combat situations where the ship's quick reflexes are critical for survival. If the USS Gerald R. Ford can navigate these sharp maneuvers without losing control, it proves its combat readiness and ability to stay agile under pressure. The results speak for themselves. The ship performs with precision, showing that it can handle high-speed turns and sudden evasive maneuvers without compromising safety or mission readiness. Through these trials, the USS Gerald R. Ford has shown that it's not just built for war, it's built to withstand anything. Whether facing explosive shockwaves or dodging enemy threats in the heat of battle, this aircraft carrier proves its mettle in the most extreme conditions. In the past, the idea of taking down a U.S. aircraft carrier seemed nearly impossible. During the Cold War, a successful strike on a carrier like the USS Gerald R. Ford would have required the might of around 50 to 60 Soviet Tu-22M backfire bombers armed with powerful P-500 Basalt or P-700 Granite anti-ship missiles. These missiles, capable of flying at Mach 2.5, could penetrate even the most sophisticated air defenses. Even then, it would have taken 20 to 30 direct missile hits to bring down a carrier, assuming no nuclear warheads were involved. But could such an attack even be feasible today? With the advent of hypersonic missiles, the landscape of naval warfare has dramatically shifted. These new missiles, traveling at speeds greater than Mach 5, can reach their targets in mere minutes, leaving little room for interception. Faster than traditional missile defense systems can react, these weapons weave through the air with unpredictable flight paths, making them nearly impossible to defend against. Just one hypersonic missile, if it hits the right spot, could cripple a ship like the Gerald R. Ford. So, what can be done to protect these naval giants? The Aegis Combat System, the backbone of the carrier's defense, aims to intercept these threats before they can strike. Using advanced radar, the system detects incoming missiles from hundreds of miles away, providing the crew with a precious few moments to respond. Interceptor missiles are deployed in hopes of neutralizing the threat before it reaches the carrier. But when facing a hypersonic missile, the question lingers: will these defenses hold up under such pressure? Yet physical attacks are only part of the problem. Cyber attacks present a new and equally dangerous threat. A well-coordinated cyber assault could disable critical systems. Everything from the ship's radar to its missile defense mechanisms could be compromised. Imagine the chaos if, in the middle of an enemy missile strike, the USS Gerald R. Ford's radar system suddenly went dark. Could the crew still fend off the attack, or would they be flying blind? To counter these digital dangers, the carrier is equipped with real-time cybersecurity systems that actively monitor for intrusions. These systems are designed to detect and neutralize potential hacks before they can cause significant damage. Still, the question remains: can the ship's defenses withstand a coordinated cyber and missile attack happening simultaneously? The future of naval warfare is evolving rapidly, and with each advancement, new challenges arise. Hypersonic missiles, cyber warfare, and other emerging technologies continue to push the boundaries of defense. How well carriers like the Gerald R. Ford adapt to these modern threats will decide whether they remain untouchable or become vulnerable targets on the high seas. Despite all its advanced technology, what truly keeps the USS Gerald R. Ford afloat in the worst-case scenarios are its watertight compartments. These compartments, strategically placed throughout the ship, create a network of isolated sections, each capable of being sealed off from the rest of the vessel in the event of a breach. But can this system really stop the ship from capsizing in a crisis? The theory behind it is simple. By containing the damage to one section of the ship, the watertight bulkheads prevent water from flooding the entire vessel. Each compartment acts like a defensive wall, ensuring that even if multiple areas are compromised, the ship maintains enough buoyancy to stay afloat. This isn't just theory. It has saved ships from sinking in real-world disasters. For instance, during the 2018 Helge Ingstad incident, a Norwegian frigate collided with an oil tanker and capsized due to improper use of its watertight compartments, a stark reminder of what can go wrong if this system fails. On the Gerald R. Ford, advanced damage control systems also play a critical role. These systems automatically seal off breached compartments and control flooding, reducing the risk of instability. But what if a major breach happens during combat? Would the crew have enough time to react, or could one mistake send the entire ship tumbling into the ocean? The answer lies in the speed and precision of the crew's training. Drills for rapid damage control are a constant part of life aboard the carrier, ensuring that in a real emergency, the team can act fast to seal off breaches and stabilize the ship. It's a race against time, but when it comes to keeping this giant afloat, seconds make all the difference. In the face of relentless waves, the USS Gerald R. Ford stands as a testament to human ingenuity. From watertight compartments to cutting-edge damage control systems, every aspect of this colossal ship is designed to ensure its survival. But in a world of growing threats, from hypersonic missiles to cyber warfare, can this engineering marvel truly withstand everything thrown its way? The answer lies in the ship's ability to adapt, evolving with each new challenge it encounters. Its resilience isn't just in the steel, but in the constant advancements that keep it one step ahead of danger. The question remains: how far will technology take us in protecting these giants of the sea? If you're fascinated by the incredible feats of engineering and naval power, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Dive deeper into the world of naval warfare and innovation, and stay tuned for more stories that bring these modern marvels to life. Your support helps us continue delivering exciting and insightful content.